We're talking hats today, as you can see, with Ernest Delmonico of Delmonico Hatter and also Jeff Dyer. You're managing the store, is that correct?
Yeah, the retail store, yeah.
You're a hat lover. I am fascinated about this store. Started in 1908. And how did it start, Ernest?
Well, 1908 is a way back. I'm not going to give you exact day and hour and minute, but
don't need exact. Let's just go back to that era.
It was started by my grandfather in 1908, and he ran it for somewhere under 20 years. And then my father took it over. He was an 18-year-old when he took it over, and he ran the store for 73 years until he died in 2001. So he was there every day for 73 years. It was his business. And I got involved after that. But
what was the fascination with hats? How did that start?
Well, hats were, hats were a major business in Connecticut and around the world. Hat wearing was universal. Everyone wore a hat. There were probably, in my lifetime, probably going back 30 or 40 years, maybe 25 or 30 places in New Haven that you could buy a hat and get a big selection. I mean, it was a major business.
But you stood the test of time.
He did, yes.
And then you did, and here we are, 2014. You're managing the retail store.
Yeah.
What are you doing with the Delmonicos here? How did you get into this picture?
I moved down to New Haven in '81 to go to Southern, and I was a hat wearer back then.
Now, were most folks wearing hats back then?
No.
So what was it about you that had to have the hat?
I'm from Maine, and if you didn't wear a hat, you froze. But I was wearing Western hats mainly at that time, and I came into the store because somebody told me that there was a good store down there, and Mr. Delmonico's dad saw me. He says, "You've got to start wearing a man's hat now, because someday you're going to want to start wearing business suits." So he started getting me into fedoras, and I started coming to the store over the past 30-some-odd years, and eventually I just ended up working there.
So you're just part of it. All right, let's talk about some of the hats that we have here. What is on your heads? Let's talk about that first.
Well,
Ernest.
Jeff and I are both wearing Panamas. The one I have on is what we call the Delmonico Caprice. It's if it's a Panama hat and we sell it, it's hand woven in Ecuador. So that's the first item, is that if it's a Panama hat, it's hand woven in Ecuador. And then we have them blocked at different places around the world. Some of our Panama hats are blocked in Italy. Others are blocked in some in South America, some in Mexico. Most of them are blocked in the United States. The one I have in my head was blocked here in New England and Massachusetts. And the one that Jeff has on is blocked for us in New Haven, Missouri.
That's a lot going on. New Haven, Missouri. That's right. I think that's very cool. Cost of your hat?
The one on my head is a grade 8 Panama, and they are graded. It is subjective. This one is grade 8, and it's $165. The one that Jeff has on is also a grade 8, and it's about $142.
How is your hat different from his? I can tell.
A couple of major differences. My hat is bleached, so it's white. Mr. Delmonico's hat is natural. It's a natural color of the straw. It hasn't been treated. And also, I have what's called a teardrop crown, where it looks like a tear. And Mr. Delmonico's is a center dent. So it's
all these things we're learning about hats. There's one hat on this table. Is it this one that is quite pricey?
This one is a Monte Cristi. It's hand woven in. Again, in Ecuador, in the Monte Cristi city, town, village. There are only a limited number of weavers that are able to make these hats. And if you feel it, it's just like a piece of linen.
Soft.
It's just like linen.
It's very, very soft.
And it is, we try to get these every year. We don't get a huge number of them. We do have a small allocation of them, or a small delivery of them, and we have them now. And they run very close to $1,000.
$1,000 hat. So who's buying those? Are they coming out of state? Are they in state?
Well, when we have them, we sell them. And our biggest hat market is California. We sell, we're a retail store in New Haven, but we're an internet business. So about 20% of the hats that we sell go to California. So do a lot of them go to California? Yeah, a lot of these go to California.
Since 1908, you've had to reinvent the store. You had to learn about, Google and how you show up, because you're just not a bricks and mortar. When did you make the change to go to the internet so that you would stay as vibrant as you are today?
Yeah, we were early with, we could have been earlier. We were in 2002. I wish we were in 1997, but we were there in 2002, which gives us very good credibility in a lot of the search engine listings. Basically, I looked at the business in 2001 when I got involved with it and said, what are we going to do with it? And I really thought it was a perfect niche business for the internet. We went on to the internet. We had customers in our store that when we were probably doing 10 or 15% of our business on the internet, you know, in our little store, we have people come in and have all kinds of capability. I had a man tell me, someday you're going to do 80% of your business on the internet, and right now we do 80% of our business on the internet.
So do you still need a bricks and mortar store?
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
Bricks and mortar, it adds, well, we still need to serve the local market. It also adds a certain area of credibility on the internet that we are an internet business, but we actually exist in the real world. And we're not fly by night. We're not working out of somebody's garage. And it also, how long we've been around since 1908, and some of our employees. Our head hatter's been with us for, what,
75 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
He started working with us when he was 14. So that type of experience and being physically there, you know, adds a lot to our cachet.
You're in a cast iron building now. What's the building in which you are now? And you have moved how many times over the years?
For 108 years, it's not that many times. We, the business started in Grand Avenue in the Olive Street area, where the fire station is now, in Grand and Olive, and it originally started across the street from that, then was in that location. There was a hotel there with storefronts all along the first level, and it was there until redevelopment came through and took that building down to put up the fire station. The business moved to State Street in New Haven for just about 4 or 5 years, and then moved to the corner of Orange and Elm, where where Ferrucci's clothing store is right now.
It's a great building.
It's a good building, yeah. And
What was it?
yeah, I can tell you about that building. Those are 2 separate buildings that were each of them built independently in 1871. 2 different developers went up, and one of the buildings was the one on the corner was a company called the Joseph Parker Company, and talk about technology change. They made blotting paper. And,
Are you learning something right now?
Always.
They made blotting paper. They were located up in Westville, and their office was in that building at Orange and Elm. The next building over where we are now is a cast iron building. It's probably the only cast iron building in New Haven, one of 2 or 3, one of a few in Connecticut. We had it listed on the National Register of Historic Places to be able to go through all of the tax credits and what have you that are available for restoration of that building. And the original developer of that building was a company called the Imperial Grainum Company. And Imperial Grainum had people on the road out of the back of wagons selling this tonic that would make people feel better. It
Sure.
was 13% alcohol.
No wonder. We were going to do this, but if we can just show the picture really quickly of your building, it kind of shows the 2 buildings that are side by side and what you're talking about. And you're to the right-hand side, and it is physically a cast iron building?
The facade of the building is cast iron. It's cast iron, and there were, you know, there was a period in the in Soho, in New York City, there were, you know, there's hundreds of them in that area in downtown in New York. They still exist, and they've been restored. It was only a short period we're off the subject of hats, but there was only a short period when cast iron was being used because once the railroads came through, then they were able to bring in the stone from around Indiana and everywhere else where the stone came in and the buildings went up. But the cast iron was actually fabricated in New York. And then they put them together just as they would put together a kit.
I'm fascinated by that. So thank you for that story. You are #1 in selling what kind of hat?
Well, the hats, you know, Jeff could maybe jump in on it, but
We're the #1 seller of Stetson men's dress hats in the country. And
Is that called a fedora?
this is a fedora.
Okay.
Fedora is a pretty generic term of hat. It's basically a hat with a brim and a crown.
It's a fine-looking hat.
It's a very nice hat.
Stick that on your head, Jeff. Let's see what that looks like.
well,
I mean,
that might fit me better. I don't know.
Yeah, well, whoever it fits.
That's your- well,
I mean, that's
that's your size.
That's my size.
That's a dress hat, and I would think a man looks very dapper in a hat like that. See,
It
look at
tops off a suit very nicely.
The Stetson hats, these are Stetson fur felt fedoras. They're made in Texas, and we sold an awful lot of them in the past several years. We
They're
sell a lot of
beautiful
them,
hats.
yeah.
Tell me about this. Now, you said you wore the Western hats a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Back as a kid, a young man.
I
Tell me
occasionally
about
still
this
do.
one.
Okay, this is the Skyway from Stetson. It's a classic cowboy hat. It has the cattleman's crease, which is the crease down the center with the two dents. It's got a 4.5-inch
So it's
brim.
put on a mold first.
Well, actually, the whole hatting process, it starts off being turned into felt, and it goes into a machine, and it comes out in a cone about yay big. And from there, a person will take that cone and put it in and out and in and out of hot water and cold water and shrink it down to roughly about this size. My wife's uncle, that was his job for 10 years in
Wow.
Danbury in the hat factories. And then it will actually go into a machine nowadays where it's a positive and a negative imprint, and it'll be pressed into shape, and it'll be polished and turned and blocked, and this is what you end up
It's
coming
a
out with.
gorgeous hat, too.
It's a well-made hat. It will last a lifetime.
What's the cost on that one?
This is $215.
Okay, but it lasts a lifetime.
As long as you don't put a hole in it, we can always put
Well,
it back into shape.
I promise I won't do that. Hats have stories, and we've got, we've got these caps. You've got a three-corner hat. What's the deal behind that, Ernest?
Well, in this particular hat, we used to make a lot of the hats that we sell in the store ourselves. Now, at this point, they're all factory bought, and we make them. And we sell them. This particular style, there are drum corps and groups in Connecticut
Absolutely.
that wear these. They march, 5 and drums and what have you. They march, and we provide a lot of these groups with the hats. And in these hats, we make.
Heavy. No, not heavy.
This is fur felt. We make them out of fur felt so that they'll last forever. And they just wear them constantly. They get all beat up, and we get them back into shape. So
That's a beauty.
I just want to go back to this hat real quick.
Absolutely.
One of the things that our customers have been asking for and that our manufacturers have been answering is they want hats that you can pack, that you can take with you, that you can move with, because we're a society on the move. This hat is actually designed right from
I'm
the
getting
get-go
scared right now. What are you doing to
to be folded in on itself, rolled gently, and you can place it in your briefcase or in a pocket somewhere and take it with you on a plane, get off the plane, open it up,
I'm shocked by that.
and you're off to go.
when you get what you're going, though, when you get
Get what
there,
you want. You want
get it right out of
don't
that
store the
suitcase.
hat like this, but especially if you're going to Florida in the wintertime, it's nice to be able to get off the plane at Bradley and have a warm hat to put on your head.
Anything else collapse like this?
Well, yeah, this one does. It's not going to roll up like that, but it will fold. So we can just fold
But
it
that's
in
not
half.
the $1,000 hat.
It's not the
No.
$1,000
Okay.
hat. Yeah, just do this with it, and you could just pack it a little.
You guys think of everything.
We're trying.
What about women's hats? Do you cater to women at all?
We do have some women's hats. It's not our strongest suit, but we have some women's hats. We have them in our website and in our store.
Do you do any royal hats, for those events?
Well, it was a big event. The Kentucky Derby's big. We sell a lot of men's and women's hats for the Kentucky Derby. It used to be decades ago that the biggest holidays for our business would be the religious holidays: Christmas, Easter, Passover. Now the biggest holiday, well, certainly Christmas still, but the biggest holidays are now Halloween, Kentucky Derby, Valentine's Day.
What kind of hats are they getting from you for Halloween and Valentine's Day?
Well, Halloween, it's certainly a costume situation.
It tends to be one hat every year. This past year it was the pork pie hat like they wore in Breaking Bad. The manufacturers ran out, we ran out, the whole
Wow.
country ran out except for the very expensive ones. It seems to be something comes out of pop culture every year around that time, and the industry can't keep up with it. We can't figure out what it's going to be, but it happens, and you can just watch them start flying out about the end of September.
This year, we're hoping it's going to be the happy hat.
Oh, well, I was going to ask you about that. That's a crazy hat.
It's a crazy
Do you
hat.
have some in the store?
We do, yeah. We do
And
have
what
some.
is that called?
We call it the happy hat, and it's modeled after the hat that was worn at the Grammys.
What's it made out of?
It's wool felt.
And
Okay.
it's got a very high open crown that you can just mush into whatever shape you want, like it was done at the Grammys.
And what does it cost?
$75. It's wool felt.
Yeah.
And we are selling them. We're selling them. It's on our website, and we are selling them on the web. And
Pretty steady clip.
So if I put in happy hat, it comes up.
if you put in happy hat, it will come up.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Workshops. Do you do workshops over at Delmonico at all in hats?
No, we don't. That's not something we've
Something
done.
we're looking to do in the future, though.
There you go, see, and making hats. I can't thank you enough for coming in and showing us the Stetsons, the fedoras, the caps.
We should spend more time on caps. You know, caps are a big part of our business.
Sure, go ahead.
And you know, I mean, we're covering the fedoras and the Stetsons because that's where we put them up front. But a good part of our business is caps. This particular cap is made by Wiggins. It's in Sweden. It's linen. They have a terrific line of caps that we have year-round, including some Harris tweeds and solids. They're really warm,
They're made
really
in
comfortable.
Sweden.
Yeah. They're designed in Sweden. Some are made in Sweden. Most of them are made in Estonia. We also have a cap that I don't have it here, but we sell caps from Italy. And terrific patterns, and we sell just lots and lots of them.
So number one seller for you guys is a cap, or it's the Stetson, it's the, where would you say? Depends on the time of year?
Well, yeah, it sure does. But number one seller would be the Stetson fedoras and Borsalino fedoras. We really haven't stressed Borsalino at all. It's the world's best hat. It comes from Italy, and we sell a lot of them. And then we sell the Wiggins caps, a lot of those. We sell Kangol is a fashion brand. This is a Kangol right here, and it's got a little nicer shape to it.
How many hats do you have in the store at any one time? Hundreds?
Oh, no,
yeah.
thousands.
Thousands.
Thousands, yeah.
So if they come in, they don't know where to start.
Yeah, I'm expecting delivery about 400 hats by the end of the week.
Yeah,
And that's not even our whole delivery from Stetson for the winter.
Best thing about Delmonico in the year since 1908, you've been able to sustain a business when a lot of folks have not been able to do that. Do you think, was it all reinvention? What else went into making the store what it is today?
Well, I think it's a lot of passion. I mean, I'm going to go back to my father. He was there for 73 years, and he believed in that business. I mean, his mantra as people were not wearing hats are back, and he believed it, and he was there, as I say, for 73 years, and he believed in it.
He's not going to toot his own horn, but I look at our store being a lot like LL Bean. It was a great brand. It was doing very well on its own. Linwood Bean was doing a great job, and when his son came in, he took it to that next level, brought in some new ideas and innovations, and really made Bean international the way it is today. And I think Mr. Delmonico's done a lot with the store when he took over, in the same vein.
And it makes a difference.
And it's about the same time that it happened.
Yeah, our business now is about maybe 10 to 15 times the size it was 10 or 11 years ago.
Even though the store is the same size because of the internet.
Physically the same size, but we have an awful lot of storage in buildings around the neighborhood. We're in several buildings with warehouse space in the neighborhood.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Ernest Delmonico and Jeff Dyer, and I learned a lot about hats. I got to look into that happy hat. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.